VTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, everyone. It is Monday at 4 o'clock, so it must be the Community Bell Show. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we welcome all of your views, all of your calls, all of the information that you would want to have. Just let us know. We've got special information today, though. We've got a special young man that I met a few years ago, and I can't believe it was 2019. Unmute yourself.
2019.
2019, when I first met this young man through my best bud, Ray Solomon. And he's been around ever since, and Dwight has been doing great things. And we're just glad that he's still here, still doing great things. And we're happy to have him back on the Community Bell Show. He's always got good information. And so we're going to hear from a number of people today. Dwight is going to introduce all of them. But before we do that, before we do that, I want Dwight to tell us how and why we met and what he was doing and what we were doing and why the Innocence Project. Talk to us, Dwight.
We met because I was advocating for Ann Salters at the time. I was a consultant and advocate, and we created Innocent Maintain. And we was advocating. We wanted to bring awareness to wrongful conviction when it wasn't. It was real. The
Quiet.
awareness wasn't a lot at that
Mhm.
time. So I was bringing awareness to the community of Detroit because Detroit had more wrongful convicted people in it then, as well as now. We had 30 some wrongful convicted people in Wayne County, which means we had some issues with Wayne County. And I must say, we fixing it now. Ken Worthy is working at it, and there's a lot more work need to be done with that. So that's what I was doing then. I'm still advocating now, but not with the Innocent Project like that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, for those of you who didn't get what he was saying, there are a lot of young men, mostly black young men, who are in prisons today in this state who should not be there. They were convicted wrongly and they're serving time and they just shouldn't be there.
Yes.
And so Dwight has been helping trying to get those people released. He's had some people that he has already gotten released and worked with people who have helped to get them released. And we're fortunate that we've got a Wayne County prosecutor, Kim Worthy, who saw the value in that work and has been working to help with Dwight and others with getting those people released. And so she has a unit now in her Wayne County prosecutor's office that is dedicated to trying to get those people released from prison
Yes.
who should not be there. And so we're real fortunate in this area to have someone like Dwight who advocates for these people and knows that they need the help, and he's out there doing that. What kind of help do you give these men and these other people who are getting out of jail, Dwight?
But they need resources for one. They need somebody to help them get an ID, Social Security card if they need it, to help them to navigate them to even understand about email, the website, being able to find these resources. They actually need like a guide, really, because a lot of guys been traumatized over the years. We don't know what happened to them from the arrest to their release, but between the arrest and the release, there was a lot of trauma that affected these young men and women, and
Mm-hmm.
because of that, a lot of them cannot adjust when it come on because of mental health illnesses.
Okay. Okay. We've got Valerie and Eric X and Rick are waiting to come on. We want you to introduce each one of them, Dwight. So introduce Valerie to us.
So I'm gonna introduce so Miss Williams. That's Miss Bell. I call her my Bell. Miss Williams is a friend of mine too, man.
Okay.
I
Well, I'm
started
glad
at
to hear it.
college. I started at college when I came home. OCC. She was the professor in the psychology class. I got to
Okay.
knowing her, struggling with trying to get the work done, and she ended up. She was looking for other side work, so I was working at Children Aid Society then, at on Third and like right downtown
Yep.
with
Yep.
Miss Clifton
Alexandrine.
them. And so she got a job there. I brought her in. She was working, doing a lot of work out in E-course with the kids. But she had been working with me too, man, for some
Okay.
years. But I take guys to her class at OCC in Southfield to have a conversation with her class so they could get used to, and also allowing the students that's taking up the psychology classes to understand guys that coming home from prison. And so we did that with her. We still do. She's on the ground with us on this, doing a pilot program which is called Men to Men Peer Group Workshop, where we have a doctor along with men that have been in prison, and we working it out like everything whatever you can think about, man. We working out from integration to relationship to financing to all the things that we have a problem with coming home from prison. Dr. Valerie Williams is helping us.
Dr. Williams, thank you so much for joining us today. It is such a pleasure to meet you. Such a pleasure. You're on mute, so I need to.
Unmute me.
There we go. Such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for coming on with us today and helping out one of my sons, Dwight, continue to do the work that he's so passionate about. So tell us about Dr. Williams and what you're doing with the Innocence Project. And I'm calling it Innocence Project. What is it, Dwight? What's the proper name?
It's so this is another extension. This is men to men peer group workshop where we doing mental health work with the doctor and guys that did.
Okay, so men to men work, men to men mental health workshop. Okay, gotcha. Okay, Dr. Williams, you're on.
Okay, I am, of course, Dr. Valerie Williams. I am a therapist, and I'm doing some pro bono work with them. One of the things that's important with me to them is to mentally get them ready to positively integrate back into the community. To be able to do that, they have to be mindful of the behaviors they're exhibiting, how those behaviors look to others, how they can get along better with their family members. So I've created probably about 6 or 7 modules where we've gone over some of the common things that they're experiencing. And during each session, our life session groups, we're actually talking about what those things are. And then they're giving me feedback as to how they are dealing with those things.
Okay.
And actually providing them some guidelines, something. I always give them handouts so that they can take it home, think about it, read it again. So when they come back the next time, they'll be able to do it.
Okay.
One of the things I think is missing in this whole part of them integrating is the mental health part. And I do get, we're in a society, especially living in the Black community, where we really don't have much experience working with people and people with us. So I want them to see me as a friendly person, an introduction to the field, that we are not going to kill you and diagnose you and do all kind of crazy stuff to you. That's not what we are.
That's great. And I'm sure that they have all sorts of images of what this is going to be when they first come.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that in itself is breaking down a barrier. There's a tough barrier to break down with people who have been behind bars and not had the freedom to even think the way they want to think.
Right.
So that's got to be a huge, huge piece to help them get over that hump, so to speak.
Right. And it's how she do it, Ma. It's how she do it. I have talked to a lot of different doctors, not to say that they don't know what they're doing. However, I just think it's having a doctor that come from where we come from to have a conversation with us, that have worked with people like us. Like, not nobody come from a whole nother playing field of psychology to come into the criminal aspect of psychology to work with us and to say that and to give an analysis on assessment of how we are after you've never dealt with us before. So Ms. Williams gives us because she understands, because she from the community, it's not a dark hallway and she ain't got a white suit on, right? So it makes sense for us. So
absolutely.
I was talking to a friend, we was driving, and so after doing the thing for the children with Icon 10, and Glenda Lewis say the breaking the cycle of incarceration. So I'll continue. I wanted to do it with the kids. So one of the things I wanted people to know is that it's hard for us to put our hands on children, to have a conversation with them, such as the parents don't want to bring them. The parents don't have to, because if you bring them, they're being checked or some type of measurement about how they take care of their children, and don't nobody want to hear about how they take care of their children. So to have those children that come in and have the parents come in is kind of a hard thing. So to address those who were the kids that went to prison and re-entered, and then we'll turn around and get the kids another way a little later, makes more sense with a psychiatrist in the group as opposed to one-to-one. In the group, we get more done. We can have more of a wide open dialogue. The landscape is big because of everybody sitting there.
Absolutely. People aren't as intimidated when there are a group of them as it would be if they were one-on-one. And they will understand that, gee, they're not the only one going through this. There's some other folk like me who are going through some of the same things and they didn't even know it.
Right.
And so as a group, it just makes a whole lot more sense. That is absolutely great. Can you talk to us, Dr. Williams, about some of the things that the men mention that come up in the sessions?
Okay, I actually did some common issues because, like I said, we've been meeting about 6 or 7 weeks, and I listened cautiously to everything that they say. And a lot of it is confusion and fear. It's like you've been in prison for 20 years, and they just throw you out into this world. This world is a different world than the world you went
20
into.
years. Oh my gosh.
So some of them might did 50, man. One of them might did 50 years.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, he ain't here. He couldn't make it, but he did 50. A lot of them did like 26, 28. I did 25.
Wow.
So yeah. And so she working with us, trying to get us to be able to
understand self.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part, because I don't think you can help anybody else until you fully know consciously, mindfully who I am.
Yes.
So some of the other things, a lot of anxiety, just about going to the store, about eating food, because 20 years people been doing everything for you. Now you out here, it's like, go for yourself in the store. It's like, what do I do up in here? Where do I start? Wow. What do I want to eat? Because things have been planned for them.
Even telephone service.
Absolutely. Telephone, computers, all of that.
Yes, you don't need to go anymore. Get a what do we used to have the little buzzers that went off. You have to go to a cell phone. I'd rather go to a pay phone that they don't have anymore and make a call.
Absolutely.
And so that was the thing, so Miss Williams, she bring it out of us to understand, don't nobody got to do what you say. Nobody in a relationship has to bow down to you and to do it the way you say it. Nobody has to pull up to their house because it's your girlfriend and wait in the car for you to get out and figure out what you want to do, or is it secure or not. These are a lot of the things that we have in our mind coming home from prison. Or I want you to walk on the right side when we in the mall. This was me, man. I thought this. You supposed to walk on the right side. If you're on the left side, girl, what is wrong with you? But I'm saying, this is what I thought. And so she said, that ain't no rule.
There's no sign that says you got to walk on the right side.
I thought it was a rule. I swear, I thought that to have your girl walking on the outside by the street, something's wrong with that. I did, but it's a lot of things like that, my dad. I've been home 10 years. I'm still learning now. No, you can't do that. She can do what she want to do. People don't have to fashion themselves the way that you look at them. In prison, we all drumming to the same beat. What's up, bro? What's up, bro? You all right? Yeah. So we all like that. So when you come home, ain't nobody doing this. So if a guy doing this here,
something's wrong with him.
Hey man, what is wrong with that guy? He crazy. He ain't doing this. But I noticed that a lot of us in the group feel like things should be the way that we want it, but we learned that that's not it.
That's not the way.
We're not being raised like
And
animals.
then being able to adjust to that.
Absolutely.
That it isn't everything everybody's doing the same thing at the same time every day all the time.
Right.
And it isn't that way, and it's okay.
And it's okay.
Now that's it. That's another thing, man. We learned from her that is okay. Now I didn't think it was okay. That was the thing.
It's kind of a slow process, not lack of money, lack of independent housing. You have to come home and live with family members. As an adult, sometimes that's difficult.
Oh, absolutely.
To come home and fit in to the family as the family is. So, sometimes people have expectations of you that you don't even know how to do yourself, like travel to the store if it's a distance. Travel anywhere if it's a distance.
Get on a bus.
Get on a bus.
And now we've got these what do they call them? The car things, Lyft and all these things that didn't exist. Before.
So that was the thing. So one of the guys in the group have a problem with his sense of direction. To get up and to go on 6 Mile in Southfield area from downtown area is confusing to him. Even to use the GPS. Not only that, it's confusing to go anywhere. So instead, he stay at home, or he'll find an excuse why he won't go. He got a car, he got his license, but he afraid to get lost.
Wow.
He afraid to be wrong about an idea, because everybody, we got these ideas out here, and because you free, we think fast. People come from prison think slow. They can't, we can't like keep up with everything that you thinking right now, you know. I got to catch it later on the back end, kind of. That's the effects of incarceration.
And that's information that people don't have. The people
don't have.
Other people need to know how the people who are just getting out, how they practice, how they function.
Absolutely.
How they handle situations. And people don't know. They don't even think about. Now, I would have never thought about that, what you just said.
And it's important, man, because we live next door to you. Like, not only that, a lot of men been exited to prison from the early 80s, starting with the Heron era, everybody on the corner, young boys, to now. Everybody had been exited so fast. In the 80s, the late 80s, they had a door open where the prison numbers had skyrocketed.
Yeah. From
like 187, it went up to like 300,000. So many people had went to prison from the heroin era, the early 80s and the late 80s, the crack era. A bunch of kids that went to prison. That was me. I was one of them. To force all to be coming home at the same time, man. 20, 30, 40 years later. Here's the thing. You can't say that we can't have a prison, you can't have jail, because we need accountability, right?
Absolutely.
But how do we fix the people that we putting in it? How do we fix them when we put them in there, as opposed to them coming home worse than they were before they went?
And that's the key. We've got to find a way that when they come out, to help them integrate back into a society that didn't exist when they went in.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I was thinking that we needed too, not only that, is maybe do a couple of workshops, maybe a day workshop for like family members. So family members can come in and hear the things that they are struggling with, and then let's talk about them. So
and hear what you just said a few minutes ago. We're thinking up there and they're still back here.
Absolutely.
People don't even think, and the family doesn't know that.
They don't know.
They don't know it. They need to hear that from somebody who knows what they're talking about. Dwight, you've got a couple of guys waiting. You are Eric and Rick. Are you ready for them to come in and join us?
Yes.
Okay, we can let Eric and Rick come in. Hi, is that who's Eric?
Eric, the one up under Miss Williams, and then Rick right up under.
Okay, hi Eric and Rick. How are you? Welcome to the Community Bell Show. You're on mute. Unmute yourself.
Y'all gotta unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone.
There you are. Hi there. You're Eric?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Eric. A pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Community Bell Show. And Rick, how are you? You need to unmute yourself. Okay.
Can we hear you, Rick? We still can't hear you.
We can.
Yeah.
But Eric, tell us a little bit about you and just a little bit of your history, how long you were in, what happened when you came out, and those kinds of things.
Well, first and foremost, it's a pleasure for me to be involved with the group and actually with people out here in society that's willing to help us in our adjustment. I did 28 years.
Wow.
I came home in 2007, October 2017. I had family support all throughout my stay in prison and since I've been home. But it's a lot of things that family and friends can't help you with. Some of the things we had to find out on our own. And in my adjustment of coming home, I actually realized that in there, I thought I had things figured out to the point where as though when I made my transition, I would be successful right away.
Okay.
But it's been a process. I've actually was gainfully employed the whole time I was on parole. I actually created a business for myself, but I struggled even then with just adjusting to the norms of society and not actually having a job prior to me being incarcerated.
That's incredible. What kind of business did you create?
Well, one of the businesses I actually created was was rehabilitating houses. I did hardwood floors,
Okay.
home improvement. Then I did property management too with my own company.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Now, how did you do that? Not having had the background, did you just kind of read up on it, or go online and train yourself, or how were you able to establish a business of that magnitude?
Well, one of the things I worked numerous jobs when I first came home. I actually took a class at Michigan Works for lead abatement and asbestos.
Okay.
And I worked in that field for a minute. But I had a friend of mine that had his own company doing hardwood floors, and he actually taught me from day one how to do the floors. And I actually acquired some of the tools myself, saving up on some of the money that I made from my regular job, while I was able to actually do the floors on my own too.
Wow, that's a great story. And how are you doing now?
I'm doing all right now. I'm doing all right.
That's amazing story. Have you worked with Dr. Williams at all?
Well, I actually met Dr. Williams when I first came home from Dwight, and he actually invited me to the Oakland County Community College.
Okay.
And I was one of the individuals that got a chance to speak to some of her students too. As far as our experiences being incarcerated, coming home, the transition, the effects that it had on ourselves and our family.
What kind of recommendations would you make to others who have some control on what they should do to help men when they come out?
One of the things that I think is essential is computer literacy. Because by us being in a controlled environment for so many years, we had no idea about the internet. Even filling out a job application is online now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and they didn't have any kind of technology while you were incarcerated?
They had, I would say, old computers that didn't have access to the internet.
Yeah, they have the computers, Mom, but you can't have the access that we need to work them out here. You don't have that type of access. They are booted for us because we're in prison, if you would say like that.
Wow.
And not only that, the computers are old. Probably some of the computers that they are using, and I don't know what they have now, but when I was incarcerated, the computers that we had access to in the classes that they gave, and we only had access to computers when we got ready to come home.
True. Not none of the 20 years or the 24, 26 months. Like
6
when
months.
you get like the 2 years before you come on, they offer you programming.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was another thing. The whole goal, they say, so what do you want out of it? Like we're gonna have prison. Like they ain't gonna get rid of the prison system, right? I say civilize prison. Civilize it. Make it so if you do the time, when you come home, you ain't so far behind.
It just makes sense to do that, because if not, you're going to have people who go back, or you're going to have people who are drained on society because they just don't know how to do things and haven't been around for so long.
Yeah.
And another thing, society doesn't really care. So it's like you're an adult, get out here and do adult stuff. But if I can't, and I'm becoming frustrated, I can't, everywhere I turn, I'm not getting the help I need. I don't have anybody to talk about the issues that I'm having. So it's more of the, they have to have some resources to be able to handle that.
Yes.
A place of comfort so I can come and talk about it. That's what I hope the groups will do. And they're going to be able to do more of the trainer of trainers stuff I'm going to do for them so that they can do it for others. So as I develop stuff, because if they're going to be coming out, people are going to come out. So we need somebody there to kind of serve as a way to catch them so it can kind of move them up. Just in navigating the community is a huge thing, because if you don't know how to navigate the community, you can't get jobs, you can't be self-independent. There are things that you need to do. And if they can't do it, it's going to be a problem with them getting jobs and just even building relationships with family members. because they're not going to always come to you. Sometimes you have to travel to them. You know, those type of things are still a big issue for them.
Wow.
To be able to do that. And I do hope the guys in the group, they've been giving great feedback that the information that they're giving, that they can pass that on to others.
Yeah.
That now they know different because they're more mindful of it, have been given some information, been able to look at it for themselves and to see how it's working within them and to be able to see how I should work to change it.
And there's nothing like peer-to-peer information.
Right.
You know, I can tell somebody something, but unless that person is able to relate it to somebody else in the same situation, you know, it's much more powerful in that way.
Absolutely.
Much more powerful. Rick?
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Community Bell Show today. We're so happy to have you. Tell us about Rick. Tell us where you were and how long you've been out and what you've been doing.
I've been home since 2005. I was locked up for 15 and a half years. And I came home in 2005. So back in 2005, things was not more suitable for us as they are now. We are making more progress coming home with assistance that we have. When I came home in 2005, I had my godmother who I had met because I was almost on the verge of going back to prison, and I told I couldn't. I was still came back to a poverty-stricken environment when I came home from prison, that which led me to prison.
Mm-hmm.
So she took me up to Kelly Temp Service, and Kelly Temp Service told me that I had to be home 7 years before I was able for a job back then. Back then, we was not able to get jobs coming home from prison. All that prison incentives and all that wasn't thought of back then. So we started a tear table rental company. And from there, I started created my LLC and got into the checker cab business. From the checker cab business, I sold off the cabs when Lyft and Uber came through, bought a car wash, then got off into real estates and porta potties that do party events, that have porta potty at your homes and things of that nature. So it's like still a progress. I'm still trying to make more and more progress as I go on, but it's still a struggle and it's still a fight that I'm fighting to not revert back to old ways because, I still don't have the means to do the things that I want to do, but I'm making it happen the best way I can.
True story. Real talk, bro.
Well, it sounds like you have done a whole lot considering you were not able to get a job. You made your own jobs.
He's been home longer than us too, man. He had a little bit more time. He been working. He been active.
Okay, but sounds like you are coming right along. What kind of recommendations would you have for those who might be able to make some changes?
My thing that I tell everybody, don't nothing come to a failure but a quitter, because I could have quit when they told me that and ended up back in prison because I knew prison life. I didn't know society life.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid when I came home, and that's what a lot of people doesn't understand about us. We are afraid to what we all are saying, to challenge the internet, to use the phone, things of that nature. Now I'm like computer literate to a certain extent, but I still have fears, to venture off to other new things. I still have fears when it comes to relationships. I don't want the woman to talk at me because I'm so used to a female guard and they're talking at me in a certain way that I still have them fears right now today that affects me in certain type of ways, but yet I'm still open for change.
Yeah.
Okay. And see, that's the kind of information, and I'm sure your relatives and friends don't know, probably need to hear from you, and so they need to be in a session also.
True.
To hear and to talk to each other about their experiences with family members and friends who have come home. That's probably, Dr. Williams, that's probably something you
yes,
need to
yes. And I'm very interested in doing that type of thing, because even before I worked with them and before I knew Dwight, I actually did groups inside of my own prison for about a year.
Okay.
So I was already acclimated to working with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like a problem for me to actually jump in, and I'm for it to try to help people in my community to try to help us to learn better things, to get our mental health in order, so we'll know when we're doing things that's going to create problems for us.
Exactly.
But if we don't know that, and we don't get it, and we don't get a chance to talk about it, because in our community, we just tell people when they're doing bad. We don't tell them what they should do to change the behavior.
How to help them.
Right. This is about helping them to change your behavior, to see their own behavior, what it is, and how you should, look at it in different ways and make a decision, the best way for you to go.
Absolutely. And it's going to help all of us. If we're able to help them, it's going to help everybody.
Absolutely.
It's going to help everybody. Dwight, there's an Ishmael backstage.
Yeah, there's Ishmael.
You ready to let him in? Okay.
Yeah. There you go, coming from work. We on you, bro. We see you.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're great. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Welcome to the Community Bell Show. So you're out there in all that snow.
No, I'm not. I'm actually in Kentucky. I'm finna drive back home.
Oh.
She want to know a little bit about what you do.
It's cold out here too.
Okay, so it's cold everywhere over here. Well, welcome to the
Okay, so well, thank you. So my name is Ishmael, and right now I'm at work. I'm a concrete finisher at trade. So I'm working with this company, and they just been sending me out to different states, mostly Kentucky right now. But I came into the group from the brother Dwight. He invited me and told me what was going on. Thought it was a beautiful, great idea. So I was like, yes, I want to be a part of it, and I've been with him ever since.
Okay.
Tell her how I met you though. When I met you through Eric X.
Okay, so the brother Eric X, I've been knowing the brother Eric X since I was like 22, 23 years old. And, the brother has always been there for me, as a father, as a big brother, whatever I needed, the brother has always been there for me. And I got in contact with him once we both came home because we kind of had like similar ideas as far as what we wanted to do when we came home and to give back and things like that. So of course I told him whatever he in, I'm with it. I'm most definitely in it. And I met the brother Dwight through Eric X. We was at a parole office or somewhere, I believe. And the brother Dwight was doing this like this re-entry program for guys who didn't have like unemployment, or they just needed like the things that was needed as far as job, housing and things like that. And he was doing classes for guys. So he asked if I could come and be on the panel board, because I was at that time I was considered like doing good. I had just started my apprenticeship with the union as far as concrete. So I was working and everything like that. So that's how I met him. He put me on the panel board, and I kind of spoke to the brothers and stuff like that.
Okay. And how did you decide you wanted to go into concrete?
Through another brother I had met inside. We ran into each other at the parole office, and we kind of, he told me what he was doing. And he asked if I was ever interested, he could get me inside the union because the union was doing the apprenticeship. So, I contacted him, told him I was interested, what I needed to do. And he told me everything I needed to do, went and did it, had the interview, went through the apprenticeship, and I've been doing it for like 4 or 5 years now.
That is
I'm about to graduate. I'm about to graduate in June. They're going to give me my certifications as a journeyman.
Oh,
so I'll be getting paid journeyman pages and everything.
You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Journeyman's pay is no joke.
Yeah.
That is incredible. That is so wonderful to hear all three of you who have come out and are doing some things that you've wanted to do. Not as much as you want, but I gotta believe that you've had the tenacity to get to where you are. Then you're gonna get even further, because it is no small task to achieve what you have achieved when you come out of a prison system that doesn't even have, and I guess, Dwight, you and I have talked about this before, and I still have to say it again. The prison system knows who you are when you're in the system. They know if you have a social security number. They know all that information. It just makes sense that they would have a social security card waiting for you when you leave.
True story. True story, ma. True story. And the ID, ma.
And an ID, they know who you are. It's not like you something strange. They know who you are. So at least those two things ought to be in an envelope, in a package, waiting for you as you walk out the door.
True. Eric X, how long did it take you to get your info, bro, after you came home?
It took me about 90 days.
See what I'm saying?
And
90 days, that's a lot.
So it's not like they don't know who you are. They know who you are.
But the sad part about it was I went through a reentry program class that was supposed to give me and provide all that information when I came home to help me facilitate getting my identification right away.
So what happened?
They dropped the ball.
Oh, no.
It don't work that way, ma.
I went through something worse than that.
It don't work that way.
They dropped the ball.
What did you go through, Rick?
I had this. I'm originally from Greenville, Mississippi. I had to send out to Greenville, Mississippi to get my social security card and all that before they could even acknowledge who I was. That's without the parole officer telling me I need to get a job within before the month is over, or she's gonna violate me.
Exactly.
But when you're in prison, they know your name.
Yes.
They know when you were born. They know all that.
Yeah, man.
So this does not make sense.
Right.
So Dwight and Dr. Valerie, we need to find a way to help them.
Because even when I was working in the prison reentry program, we dealt more, just about what's on the outside, not to me about the emotional part of coming to the outside and what you're going to be expected to do exactly and how you're going to do it. Where do I go? Where do I start? Right. That's something that they're wrestling with, and that's something that we're, as part of a group, going to create a resource guide. So this resource guide will be simple and usable, so that anybody that needs to know some steps can actually know where, when, how to get those things done.
Absolutely, but the other on the other side of that, though, before they leave, they should be giving them. They know who they are. It's not true, like I've had this man in my custody for 20 years, and he's leaving, and I don't know who he is. I know who he is. Give him his ID right away.
But that's a part of it, man. That's a part of the process to make us work harder, to make us struggle, to make us suffer a little bit more. Even though we free, they want us to know that you ain't free. Not like that, though. Because you're going to, and then the thing is, man, nobody knows about technology to get this stuff for real, though.
But I'm just back to they shouldn't have to. The prison system knows who you are. They've had you for 20-some years. They know you. They know your name.
True.
Right.
That ought to be something that's so simple, it's incredible. They ought to be able to just give you that when you leave. That ought to be one of the things you get. So, okay, Dwight and Dr. Williams, we got to work. Help me work on that with you.
Okay, man.
Crazy.
And building, we want you to help us on building the resource, because I know the resources. Like we'll just go back and forth. We want to build a manual that guys can get that manual from us, and we connect with the city and everybody, with the county, what they have to offer. We put it in the manual. Miss Williams go over, put it together, and we'll have it like that.
That would be great. I would love to. Absolutely.
All it is this. Everybody's situation is different, right? Just like Rick was born in a whole nother different state, right? And you could be born in Michigan, but not born in Detroit. If you're born in Holland Park, you got to go somewhere else to get your birth certificate.
Right.
All these different things, we don't know about them until we actually get here.
True.
And then going to the Secretary of State, I end up getting all the things that I was required to have. Then they asked me for a bill with my name on it. I was standing. Yes.
I've been here for 20 years. I don't have a bill.
They asked me to produce a bill with my name on it.
Yeah.
We're gonna work on that because that is insane. They've had custody of you for all this time, and now all of a sudden they don't know who you are. That's crazy.
That's true.
And I've worked on that.
Take you around the circle about it too.
Y'all ain't talk about when your family then used the name on a DTE
Yeah, that's make sure you explain that, Rick.
Man, they ain't talked about that. You got to fight. You got to fight to clear your name from the bills that they used back in the while you was incarcerated. You owe debt from that, you know. So
exactly.
It's even harder trying to get any type of identification when you owe. You got to pay these bills before they can even acknowledge you.
Even though you were in prison when they was acquired.
Right, and you got to prove that though. MDLC is slow as ever.
We're gonna help out with that, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Dwight. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you.
You're
Ismail,
welcome.
Rick, Eric. Thank you so much for coming on. The community needed to hear this. I appreciate your being here. And we're gonna have to talk about doing some regularly scheduled visits.
Yes.
And then maybe it's once a quarter we bring everybody on, or once every other.
Let's do that.
But we need to talk about that because we can't let this go. We've got to continue with this. We've got to help the people because when we help them, we help ourselves. We help the whole community. So it isn't just about, it is about you, but it's about all of us.
So we're also looking for people to come to us. We're opening up to do groups. We're opening up to do group, I don't want to call it therapy, group workshop with people, with a therapist, with guys. We do have a couple people. We got a guy that got in trouble in Oakland County, shooting at Ferndale School. He's willing to change his life. He's out on parole, on probation. So we're gonna work with him. We're gonna have him come to the group to have a conversation with us. We're gonna have a conversation with him, do things with him to get him adjusted on a whole nother path. And we'll be able to talk about that. Yeah. I can't hear you, man.
I think she muted.
Did it myself. There I am. Thank you so much. Hit the wrong button for being with us. I am just so happy to have met all of you. Thanks to White again. As always, you bring on good folk. We will have you back. I appreciate your being with us. Community Bell Show really is an information show, but it also turns out to be a helpful show.
For sure.
And as I end the shows always now, it's a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King. It says, not everyone can be great, but not everyone can be famous. Not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be great because greatness is determined by service. You only need a heart full of love and a soul generated by love.
Yes.
Take care, everybody. Have a great time. We'll see you the next time. Okay. It's been great having you on the Community Bell Show. Dwight, Dr. Williams, Rick, Ismail, Eric, thank you again. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit. You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit,